Hey everybody, it's Pat Beaupre Becker, certified weight loss coach and life coach, welcoming you to 14 days, 2 weeks of strategies and tips for how to create a successful weight loss plan and, more importantly, how to stick to it. So one of the things that is really exciting about being alive today is that there are many things that we now know that we never knew before about the brain. And as a matter of fact, in the last 10 to 15 years, we've accumulated more information about the working of our thinking brain than have ever been produced in all of the time we have been on the earth. It is really amazing. But what does that matter? What does that matter, and what does it have to do with losing weight or making a plan? Well, I know that if you are like me and many other of my clients, there has been a time when you have decided you were going to lose weight. You created a plan, and then you started to follow it, and maybe you even lost a little weight, and then something came up. Maybe it was a holiday, maybe it was a wedding, maybe it was a funeral, but something came up where you decided that it was really too hard to stick with your plan, and then you decided once you got off the plan, you decided, oh, what the heck, and you just kind of didn't find your way back to keeping and sticking to your plan. So common. I think the statistics are under 10% of people who lose weight manage to maintain it and keep it off. So when I work with my clients, we like to create a goal, but that goal always includes an additional amount of time. So it doesn't just include losing weight until you get to a particular weight. What it does is it includes losing weight and then keeping it off. So we really work on creating a plan that's sustainable over a long period of time, because the one thing we know is if you're not going to stick to it, then what's the point of doing it? So it has to be sustainable. Now, a lot of my clients are over the age of 50 or approaching 50. So we have had years of experience of going yo-yoing up and down in diets and starting diets and then giving up diets, some working and some not working. And so many of us have this fatigue and this belief that we can't even succeed at losing weight. And so we just kind of give up, and we think, you look around, everybody's a little bit overweight, and so what the heck? But of course it only matters if your health is at risk, because really there's no other reason for me to have a body that is a right weight if it's not healthy. So health is really the goal here. And so that's what I am after. I'm not only health, but actually choosing to live a life that really excites you, that has lots of fun and purpose and meaning, so that you actually, when you live your life, you feel like you have not wasted your time here. And what happens when we are really run by our primitive brain, which is the part of our brain that has really been created to keep us safe. And as a result, we're here, right? We have been kept safe. So we have this primitive brain that runs alongside the mature part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is the CEO, right? It's running the show, or it can run the show if we allow it to. So what I want to do is I'm going to teach you tips and strategies how to take the prefrontal cortex and keep it in charge of the show. So the question is, would you hire yourself as the CEO of your life? And if not, what skills are you missing so that you can gain those skills, so that you can take charge of your life and feel like you're the one who can do the best for your life than anyone else can? So the CEO, or that prefrontal cortex, is in charge of the executive function. It can plan and it can execute those plans. And so the beautiful thing about creating a weight loss plan is that you then have a focus for your brain. And when you give your brain something to focus on, it then begins to seek answers to those questions. It seeks solutions to the problems that you're focusing on. So it's really important to be solution focused, so that your prefrontal cortex will be in charge of making decisions. And so there are processes that I will be sharing with you through the course of the next 14 days that are going to help you to install the beginnings of habits. And when you do something over and over and over again, your brain will create a habit. It will actually become easy. Now, it does take time. I will tell you that. It's not a quick fix, but If you're spending each day of your life working on getting to achieve what it is that you want to achieve, let's say that is weight loss, because at the end of the day, what's the point of weight loss? It's to energize you so that you can do the things that you want to do in life, to figure out what it is that your purpose is and to work towards your purpose. That is really the only reason that I am doing this work, is because I want to empower you to be at your best body size, to get rid of the constant mind chatter that many of us who have struggled with food have had year after year after year. So I am really excited about getting this work and teaching you some of the tips and tricks and strategies. And I'm going to do a little bit of fun stuff as well during the next 14 days. So what I want to do is, so what is a plan? What does a plan look like? And I actually came up with 12 different items. So the first thing is you figure out an eating window and a fasting window. At what point do you want to start your meals and at what point do you want to end them? Because the way that I teach the plan is you want to have a time when your body is in, where the insulin goes down and your body has a chance to actually eat on or dine in, eat on its own fat. But that takes not having food in your body for a long time, which is like a fast, which is what happens every night. We go to bed and then we have our break fast right in the morning. So you can pick, many of my clients have an eating window that starts with breakfast and goes through dinner, and some just do lunch and dinner. Some start at noon, end at 8. Myself, I do 7:30 a.m. to about 7 p.m. at night. So that's my eating window. That's my fasting time. So the fasting time would be 7 p.m. to the next day at 7 a.m. And then my eating window is 7 a.m. to about 7 p.m. So you pick what suits your lifestyle and what you want to do. So that's the first part of a plan. When am I going to eat? And then we want to recommend that you eliminate flour and sugar and processed foods to the best of your ability. And when you do that, you will start to see the cravings after a couple of weeks. You will start to see cravings go away. And cravings is one of the biggest problems with sticking to a plan, right? So you want to have a strategy for your cravings. And so we have some particular strategies for individual clients when they have those individual cravings. But generally speaking, if you can eliminate flour and sugar and processed foods to the best of your ability, you're going to have a better chance with cravings, and you'll be able to experience real hunger as opposed to toxic hunger or the urgency that comes from having sugar in your body. So the other thing is you want to add lots of vegetables, and one of the challenges I'm going to give you is I got all these wonderful vegetables here, and we're going to challenge you to add more vegetables to your diet right now. If the one thing you can do is just add more vegetables. And then you want to eliminate snacking. So part of the creating of the plan of eating of what you're going to eat, which is what we call a protocol, is to make sure you're getting enough food so that you actually are full at the end of your meal. So your body actually has some food to digest, so that you're digesting your meal over the course of the time, and then you have a chance to get hungry again, right? I know for many times where I was just snacking and snacking constantly, and I was really never getting hungry. So you want to give your body a chance to digest your food, and that's what happens when you don't snack. So really advise not snacking. So if you can eliminate flour and sugar, processed food and snacking, you will see, not only will you feel better, but you actually drop some weight just with doing that. So the other part of the plan is to use healthy fats. So there's been lots written about fat. We used to be so afraid of fat, but now we know that we need healthy fats. Our brain is made of fat, and we need to have fat in order to keep our brain healthy. So we recommend having olive oil or ghee, which is clarified butter, or grass-fed butter, or you can also have coconut oil. And there's a coconut oil that's a little bit processed, but it doesn't make all your food taste like coconut. So that's really important, to add healthy fats and make sure you're getting enough fat. When we were doing, there are people who are successful on low-fat diets because they have done studies where they've compared low-fat, high-carb diets to high-carb low carb, high fat diets, and basically people still lost the weight. But what we also know is that healthy fats are really good for your brain, and long term they're really good for satiety, which is being full, right? It's like not being hungry, because many people will give up on their diet because they're just too hungry. So we want to encourage people to eat enough food, enough protein, and that would be really healthy proteins. That would be grass-fed beef or chicken. We want to go for high quality meat, maybe in smaller quantities, because you can also have beans, you can also have lentils, or you can have cheese. Or you can have yogurt as another one, or cottage cheese. So you've got lots of options that you can have for healthy proteins, and that's what we want. Again, we want you to have enough food so that you are being nourished from all of the different variety of foods, and also because they are nutrient dense and they are not processed. So this is really going to help you. So what else? Boom, planning for exceptions. So what happens with many diet programs is that, we're doing well, and then all of a sudden a wedding comes, or a vacation. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to a client who was on their way to Sicily, and I just happened to have been to Sicily a couple years ago, and I actually managed the whole trip without eating any flour and sugar, which is an amazing feat if you ask me. But also, I just loved Sicily. I love the people, and I love the culture. It was just amazing. I had a great time, and that was without having any flour or sugar, which is what some people would think, and wine, because that was not my focus, wasn't on the food. So, so what you want to do is you want to really plan for these events that are going to trip you up. It's kind of like knowing that there's a big hole in the ground and walking towards it and just falling in. So planning, again, we take that prefrontal cortex and we give it a job, and the job is, how do we manage to still either make an exception and plan an exception for a wedding or a funeral. When their emotions are high, you want to really have a plan so that your primitive brain is not running the show. Because if you are like me, when the primitive brain runs the show, it's not a happy movie. It doesn't have a good ending. So you want to create your own movie, your own life, and by doing that, you have access to this incredible free piece of equipment in your head, which is your brain. And so all of the things we know about the brain is we want to learn how to use our brain to our benefit. So the other thing is emotions. Yeah, so you go to a wedding, you go to a funeral, and your emotions flare up, and then you think, I have to eat this because this person died or this event happened, and so we want to choose to eat our emotions. But there are more strategies about how do you feel your emotions? How do you actually learn how to be a human being that includes feeling your emotion, and doesn't mean you have to suffer or cause yourself ill health because you have an emotion, right? It doesn't make any sense. It's like we're human, we have emotions, and we want to learn how to have our emotions so that we can also eat and be nutritious and cry or laugh or whatever it is. We're going to feel sad. We are going to have these emotions. So we plan for the emotions, and we don't make the emotion mean something has gone wrong. When you feel an emotion, it's because you are a human being. But quite often, all of the thoughts that we think, or we reject it, we just don't want to feel it. We think the feeling of pain is going to be too much for us. So we withdraw, we resist our emotions, and then we end up covering them up. And then we end up eating, and now we have an eating problem instead of the human problem of having an emotion. So really important when you've struggled with food is to understand how your emotions are impacted and how you can plan to eat, plan for those emotions, and plan for healthy eating even with emotions. So other thing is your sleep. 7 to 8 hours of sleep is really important. They've done so many studies now about sleep. And people who have to work shift work where they have lots of trouble. So I'm sorry about the bird, Mary, but the bird is there and doesn't always talk, but I think because I'm talking, the bird is talking. So I apologize. Maybe you can listen again, and next time I'll put the bird in another room. So the other thing, so we have sleep and then we have stress. Now we know that lots of people are stressed out, right? And stress is a part of life. And there's good stress and then there's bad stress. And the bad stress is the chronic stress, is the stress that actually we worry about things and we hold on to things, we ruminate and we think about things over and over again. So we want to learn strategies for stress, and that's one of the things I'll teach you in the 14 days. And then, of course, there's water. You want to make sure you drink lots of water. So these are just some of the 12. So those are the 12 components of a plan. And I will definitely move the bird, because now that I have been made aware of the bird, I can hear how it's very, very distracting. So in any case, so I wanted to do a challenge. So the challenge is eat more vegetables. So what I've done is I have all these amazing, lots of people say, oh, what should I eat? What can I cook? So look at this beautiful purple cauliflower. And all you have to do is steam it. And I'll be sharing some ideas of cooking ideas as well in the next 14 days. I just wanted to give you an idea of the variety of vegetables that are out there in the world. So we have zucchini, really simple, and I've got a fun way to cook zucchini tomorrow. And then here we have some red cabbage, which is really excellent for you. You could even just buy them as in a half, which is kind of fun because sometimes I don't get to really eat the whole thing. And then there's broccoli. We have broccoli, a big favorite for lots of people. And then there is asparagus. Let's not forget asparagus when it's in season. This must be the end of the season, but asparagus, really delicate. And then, of course, there's lettuce, and then there's kale. I've got kale. And we have so many different kinds of kale. We have curly kale. We have Jacinto kale. We have, this world is now kale crazy. But kale is really good, has lots of nutrients for you. And then we have here, I've got some green beans, real simple green beans that you can just steam or use with different and then I've got some celery, which I've been actually cooking a lot more with celery. Usually I put it in my salads, but I've actually been adding it more. And then, of course, the lettuce, which a lot of people get in bags. We get the larger one because we make a lot of salad around here. And then, of course, we have these lovely orange tomatoes, really cool, that are specialty. And then, of course, there's my jicama, which I should buy my jicama, but I actually buy it already cut because I know I'm going to use it, and it's not going to go bad by the time I finish using it. So those are just some ideas of some vegetables. So if you haven't ever cooked a purple cauliflower, or if you haven't had regular cauliflower in a long time, pick a cauliflower up. You might try cooking something that you just don't think of when you go to the store. Then, of course, there's also frozen vegetables. I always have frozen peas around. You can get frozen broccoli, and there's lots of organic frozen food as well. So the challenge for today, day one, is to add more vegetables. How about twice as many vegetables as you normally eat to each of your meals? And when you do that, you will actually not only feel better, well, you might actually, depending on if your body is used to vegetables, there might be some adjusting period. But eating nutrient-dense vegetables, lots of color. And then I have, it's so funny because even on top of all these vegetables, there's something called Juice Plus. And they actually have taken the vegetables and concentrated them down and put them in a capsule. So you could actually have a whole serving of vegetable in a capsule if you are traveling and you don't get to eat your vegetables. So I like to have these on hand, but mostly I recommend we get our vitamins through our food. So that's my day one, and I want to thank you so much for showing up, and I promise tomorrow the bird will disappear, and I promise that we'll have some fun things tomorrow as well. So come on back. You can also visit my website at www.beauprecoaching.com and or my Facebook page, and just give me some questions below. And or let me know your comments and any ideas that you think I should further discuss or any clarification that you need. So I thank you again, and good night.